Hey, this is Ashley at Hedrick Homestead, where we provide practical tips for the homesteader, whether you're just getting started or you've been doing this for a long time. And today we're going to be talking about chick waters and choosing the best chick water for you. Now, there are really two types of waters for chicks to choose from: traditional waters and nipple waters. So we're gonna walk through some of the pros and cons so that you can choose the best one for you. So traditional waters have this top canister area that screws in to a base. Typically the base is red because chickens are naturally attracted to the color red. And that water gravity flows into this like trough basin area. Now, the pro of this type of water is that it's very simple. It's easy for the chickens to use because they just come over, they can peck, drink from a trough like they would drink from any puddle in the wild. And it's super affordable. These little chick waters that hold about a quart of water, they are like $5 at your local farm supply store, $5, $10. So you can get started super easily. And another benefit is your bedding stays pretty dry with these because as the chicks are drinking and scooping up water, they're not wasting a lot of water, like we'll talk about with the nipple waterer. Most of the time when I see beginners getting started with chickens, this is the type of waterer they choose, merely because it's so accessible. Every farm supply store sells them. They're super cheap and expensive, and they're very easy to use. You just screw off the top, fill up the water, screw it back on, and put it down, and voila, there you go. However, there are some cons to this type of water. Number one is the water tends to get pretty dirty pretty quickly. Now, there are some things you can do to minimize this, and I did recently record a video on how to keep your chick feed and water clean, so go ahead and check that one out for those tips. So there are some things you can do, but this type of water really is going to collect a lot more bedding and dirt and manure than the nipple waterer. And it also needs a lot of refilling. So a quart of water, depending on how many chickens you're raising or how many baby chicks you're raising, can only go so far. And especially when you're having to like swish out the gunk and dump it out and refill it, you can be refilling waters multiple times a day. Like we have 60 chicks right now. If I was using these, I would be refilling water multiple times a day just to keep it clean, fresh, and available. And that brings us to the second type of chick water, which is a nipple waterer. Now, you can find nipple waterers that are attached to like a 1 quart reservoir like this with just one little nipple off the edge. That's great if you only have a few chicks. Or you can have more of our system set up, which is a gravity fed like tube PVC pipe with a bunch of nipples. So ours has six nipples across it, and then it's fed from a reservoir, so a bucket that we have feeding down to the chicks. Now, the pros of using a nipple water are it keeps the water super clean. Because the water is not getting exposed to anything, there's no open trough or anything like that, your water is gonna stay squeaky clean. There's not gonna be bedding, manure, dirt getting in there. And because of that, it needs a lot less refilling and cleaning out. Our chick nipple water is actually automatic, so I never have to touch it. But even if I just used a bucket reservoir, I would still have to refill way less often. Now, if you're curious how I set up our automatic chick water, I did film a video about that. You can check that one out. But those really are the two pros of the nipple water. You don't have to refill it as often, and the water stays really nice and clean, which ultimately the goal for watering chicks is to have consistent, constant access to clean water, right? If you've got that, they're happy. Now, there are a couple cons to the nipple water. Number one, it is more expensive. If you're just getting like a 1 quart nipple drinker, something like that is gonna be cheap, just like your quart, your little quart trough waterer. So maybe I'm comparing apples to oranges here, but like our system to get set up, when I paid for the 6 nipple waterer and got that set up, by the time I paid shipping and tax and all of that, it was like $60. Now, to me, it's really worth it because I love the clean water. And that's just to get it set up with the bucket. You'd have to pay for a float valve on top of that if you want to make it automatic. But in my mind, it is so worth the hassle of never having to touch my chicks' water and them having access to clean water. Now, another con to the nipple drinker is that it is going to leak a lot more water. So your bedding around the water is going to get wetter because as the chicks are pecking up, there's gonna be water falling down onto your bedding. Again, I just Put down more bedding there. Know that bedding's gonna be wet. Keep the feed and the heat lamps away so the chicks aren't laying in it, and it's never been a problem. In the end, you can raise healthy chicks with either option. Choose the option that's best for you. If your trough water, your traditional water is very accessible, you can easily get some, it's very inexpensive, go for that. If you're looking for a more robust system that is gonna cut down on your time that you have to spend doing chores, or you're raising a lot of chicks, I encourage you to check out the Nipple Water system, especially the automatic system that I use. And again, check out that video if you wanna see how to build it. All right, go get your chick waters set up. Hope that helps. See you next time.